Tell me about
One thing
Rudolf Feng and Herman Schmidt.
Well,
Was it 1906?
1908, but I'll tell you what, one thing I do know, and that is they went down at a different time of the year to what we went down. How do I know this? Well, it's quite simple actually, because Herman Schmidt, who was giving who was the narrator of this story, he said they followed the stream down, and at the head of this stream, where the influx was, at the influx there was a huge gushing hot springs. Herman Schmidt said this, right?
Yeah.
We didn't see any stream. We saw a river. So we must have gone, when we went down in the wet season, this was a river. When they went down, it must have been just a stream. They could have been walking along the bank. Do you understand?
Yeah, yeah.
So what they saw, when they said they saw vegetation that they'd never seen before, they were seeing it in the low season, in the dry season, when all the flowers and stuff would have been out. It must have been amazing to them. We saw a lot.
We did. We flew for hundreds of miles and we didn't see anything like it.
Yeah, but we saw a lot. But they must have seen an awful lot, because they went in the dry season, and that's what they saw at the going down towards the lake.
You think it would be more luxuriant in the dry
there's
season?
two reasons. No, there's another reason why I know they went to a different side. They said they saw around the lake a lot of reeds that had been crushed down. There were no reeds when we went down.
No, there
there.
weren't. No.
The reeds
We saw the
must come
floating
about.
islands, though.
The reeds must come about in the dry season. Now, I don't know about this, but the people like the professor at Queen's University, he'd be able to tell you, when do reeds grow in the Amazon? What time of the year? People can answer these questions. And you could find out just when it was that Herman Schmidt and Rudolf Feng went down there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else too. That creature that they ran into it, when they ran into it, I think it was only feeding down in that part of the lake. When it took off, it went off into the opposite direction, way up the other end. And I think that's where they all are. Up in not where the hot water is, believe it or not, but there's a river that runs out, I think, runs out of Lake Hamburgo. And I think
Yeah,
that's
there were
where they
two
are.
or three.
Eh?
There were two or three kind of streams
There's
running in
about
and
three
out.
coming
Yeah.
in, two or three coming in, and there's one going out.
Is that right? Tell me, can you answer how you were able, because I still don't understand it, how did you work out that the coordinates were wrong on the account and that you worked out where it was? Because it was amazing to travel over 100 miles in the jungle and see that sight before us of the thermal lake and to know that you got it right. How did you do it?
It's simple, because when I went by the coordinates, I was in the middle of nowhere and there was no lake, there was just a jungle. There wasn't any lake there. When I went by the coordinates that were written down.
What, on your map?
No.
What maps did you... What?
No. In the account, they gave the coordinates. So I took the coordinates and I went to the map, the area where it was, and all it is jungle, there's no lake there. So I thought there must either be being a printer, there may be a typographical error here, or I'll have to go by the story, which said that there was a bayou. Now I had to look it up in the dictionary. What's a bayou? A bayou is a large body of slow-moving water. And so here I saw in this lake a river, would you believe this, coming down into the forest, but it must stop and just, either through being barricaded or dammed or whatever, I don't know, but the water literally flows through the forest. So when it comes out, it's slow moving, but it's about a quarter of a mile wide of slow moving water. I thought that's the bayou. So that's what I checked out. And then when I started to check things out, I realized the more I checked out, it fitted the picture of where that I was on the right lake, for example.
Was that one of the sites that you took the satellite photographs
Let me give
from?
you an example. That lake that we were on at Hamburgo is the only lake that has a river coming into it, or a stream going into it. or two streams. The other ones have the one that's got hot springs on it. There's another one that's got hot springs on it, but the river is running out of the lake. So how do I know this? Well, it's quite simple, because if you look at the aerial, the satellite photography, you know how the yellow comes up where it shows you where the hot springs were?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the yellow is going out of the lake. You don't see it flow, the yellow going into the lake. Do you understand me?
Yeah, yeah.
So the thermal, or the hot water, thermal waters are flowing out of the lake. So that one at Hamburgo is different in the fact that the warm water is flowing into the lake. So that way it makes it more suitable for a giant reptile to inhabit.
So that's how you worked out when you got the satellite photograph that it tied up with the account.
Yeah, that's how and not only that, but if you look at the other places, they haven't got floating islands.
No, that's okay.
Hamburgo is the only one that I know of now. I haven't seen them all.
Yeah.
I've only seen about 5 of them. But the ones that I saw, that I could make out anyway, do not have floating islands. Hamburgo was the only one that had floating islands.
Well, I have to say it was the high point of the expedition for me. I just couldn't, when I saw that rise in the focus in front of us, and that the yellows and the oranges and the greens, you know, all mixed together in that thermal lake, and to get the coordinates so exact, that was a high point for me. But I'm curious to know whether you were convinced that you had the coordinates right before you got there, or whether you weren't sure until we arrived.
Put it this way. The more you go, the further you go, the more you know. And the further that I went in investigating this lake, the more I realized I had the right lake. Because not only do you have a big lake, the biggest lake, but you also have connected to it a huge swamp area. And the swamp area is a place that a creature such as, or like, Mocadium bembe would inhabit, or like. You know, it likes a large wooded or swampy forest where it can hide, or where it can, I don't know what it does, but that's what they like. See?
How
So,
convinced are you that Mocadium bembe actually is in this lake, or the area around this lake?
well, basically, I'm going by the story at the moment, and I don't think back in like in today's world, people would drum up a story to make money. They'd even write a lot of rubbish to make a story. But back in those days, 100 years ago, people weren't that bad. I mean, they wouldn't go telling a lot of rubbish. I really think they ran into some. I'm convinced that Hermann Schmidt and Rudolf Fang ran into an unknown creature in that lake. And besides that, all my research points to the fact that there is a creature in there.
Doesn't
It's
some of it
called
point to other accounts up near in Bolivia and other
Yeah,
parts of the
there's
region?
another one, yeah, they found.
What's the name of that river that runs
Oh,
up?
Madidi, the Madidi River.
Yeah.
Something huge that resides in the.
And was it the Solomeus that they travelled down? What was the river that the...
You know, what I'm coming to understand is, and I could be wrong on this, I'm feeling my way on a lot of stuff, but the Solomeus, I think, is the Brazilian name for the river, for whatever. Now, I know it's not the Amazon, but
Yes.
for the Marignan or something like that, you know. And that's what I think. I just feel that there's a name anyway. I read it on the map. I've got an old what do you call it? Times Atlas.
Yeah.
So old. I'll tell you how old it is. It's so old. There are no roads on the map in Ireland. Ireland doesn't have any roads marked on it. That's how old it is. Listen, yeah, wait till you hear this. And so this in that picture anyway, I knew that this Solomeus was the names get all changed.
Yeah.
And so you got to feel your way, you know.
Well, you found it. There's no doubt about that. Now we just need to find the creature, the Mokele Mbembe, or the Sirish, as you call it.
Watch out, Makweli and Bembe, we're coming down for you.